Hello. A few years ago we cut all the ivy that was growing up the trees on the way up to the road, and we ended up with a lot of pieces like this which are just off the trunk of the tree, and we've sawn off either end to make sure that the ivy doesn't overwhelm the tree. So I was looking through the shed yesterday and I thought I really fancy doing something with that. So I have a glass vase and some glass tubes. I've glued about 3 fir cones onto it, and I've wired on the glass tubes which are filled with water, and I thought we'd have a bit of fun with it. In the conservatory I have quite a few of the chlorophytum plants or spider plants, and they're all producing their little babies. So I thought they would make quite a nice, interesting flowing material to come over the side of this, over the wood, over the surface of the wood. When we had cut the ivy off the trees, we had a neighbour came down, and he said to my husband, he said, "What's happened to all the ivy? It's all dying. Has it got a disease?" And my husband, who has a wonderful sense of humour, said, "Oh, it's terrible, isn't it?" He said, "It's got cut-off low-down disease." So we have cut-off low-down disease, which basically means we have cut the ivy low down. So just attaching these in and letting them flow across the wood. These will all root, of course, so you can get them to root down, and you can have lots of little babies. I end up with hundreds of these because they flow into other plants and root themselves in other plants. So coming to the other side as well, just allowing it to flow across and just catching them into the wood. You better have a quick look. It's quite difficult to turn because it wants to move on the glass vase. I haven't actually attached it to the glass vase, it is actually balanced there. So on this very wet and miserable afternoon, what better could we do than have a few flowers to bring into the house, something very simple that you could then just replace the flowers in as you wish. Whenever you wish to put extra flowers in, you can just put a few more. So we can come out of the back there, into the centre here. I enjoy playing with contemporary design, which of course this is what I would call freestyle. And so I can just play with how I want it to go. And there isn't really a right or wrong way, so long as you do keep to some of the elements and principles of design, using contrasting textures and getting a rhythm to it, which is partly what I'm doing with the flowing stems of the chlorophytum. So we can come in with that one. So I think that's probably enough chlorophytum in there. I might add one more bit in a little while. So because it needs to be a very quick design, I went up the garden and I picked some of the nasturtiums, and I chose the ones that have this lovely almost apricot-y colour. I hope the colour's going to come out on the film. And I'm just going to do a little bunch of them into each of the tubes. So we can have a little bunch in there. Have to pause to actually put them in. My brain won't work particularly well when I'm struggling to fiddle them into make sure they're in the water. Of course, the one difference between doing this at home and filming it for you and doing it live for you on a stage or at a flower club meeting is that I end up with the flowers all round the house, whereas in the flower club meeting they would be going in the raffle. And any of you that have been to my demonstrations where I've used pieces of the ivy, you will know that I normally give it away. So you would have had plastic tubes probably, and you would have definitely had the ivy complete, the design complete, that would have gone in the raffle and somebody would have had it to take home. So a few into that glass tube. I have another little pot of them here. And some into the front glass tube, if I can find the gap in the wood. Go on, through you go. You will do it for me, I know you will. See, I talk to my flowers. I don't know why quite, because if I talk to the dog he doesn't take any notice. But the flowers sometimes do. If you talk to them nicely, they will behave themselves and go where you want them to. I want quite a little clump of them in there. Go on. There is a gap there. I know there's a gap there because I made it earlier. So there we have a little clump of those there, and some into the far end one. Threading them down, making sure they're going into the water. I've got one more open one that could go in there as well. I had to fight the slugs off these. As I was picking them, I was probably throwing away more than I was bringing in because they'd got slugs down in the middle of them. Bringing that colour up a little higher in that top placement with one or two of the slightly longer ones. I haven't bothered to cut them because this was just the length I could get them from the plants, and they were immediately recut and put into water, and so I'm just taking them out of the water and straight into the pots. So there we have a bit of fun on a rainy afternoon with a piece of ivy that was suffering from cut-off low-down disease, a few bits of the chlorophytum from my conservatory and the nasturtiums. Thanks for watching.